StudentCam's 2012 Grand Prize winner, Matthew Shimura, joining us from Hawaii, and Senator Daniel Inouye, Democrat of Hawaii, here with us in Washington. Welcome to the both of you. And Matthew, let me begin with you about how you came to the topic of Japanese American internment camps, as well as finding that part of the Constitution that applies to that part of our U.S. history.
Well, I came to the topic by after learning about my great uncle, John Shimokawa's story. And after learning about him more through my family, I started researching the Japanese internment through a number of books. And then I really became interested in the topic, and that's how I chose it for my documentary.
And those that just saw your documentary could see the long list of research that you went through. Articles, you went through C-SPAN's video library, you did a lot of research. How much time did you spend on it?
I spent, through the whole project, I think I spent over 100 hours doing the whole thing by researching many books like Farewell to Manzanar and Looking Like the Enemy, as well as looking up the different Supreme Court cases, such as Korematsu versus the United States, and the C-SPAN footages of the Justices Breyer and Rehnquist, as well as talking to Eric Yamamoto, who is one of the lawyers on the Quorum Nobis team who represented Fred Korematsu.
And were people willing to talk to you to be part of your documentary?
Yes, people were really nice about letting me interview them, especially Karen Korematsu, the daughter of Fred Korematsu. She had a lot to say about her father's legacy, which included standing up for our rights and making sure we stand up and look out for things when they're not right.
And what part of the Constitution applies to that part of our history?
Well, in my movie, I talked about the due process clause of the Fifth Amendment, and I talked about procedural and substantive due process. Procedural due process means that the government can't take away your rights without a neutral judge and a jury, and substantive due process means that the government can't take away your natural rights, what John Locke would call life, liberty, or property.
And your state senator here with us, Senator Inouye, what was your reaction when you saw Matthew's documentary and the topic that he chose as a Japanese American yourself?
Well, I was impressed and surprised because, frankly, it looked very professional. And to think that a young man had produced this, very impressive. But I later learned that he was #1 out of 1,200.
Yeah.
That makes Hawaii very proud.
Right, right. What's your reaction, though, for a ninth grader picking a topic like this as our part, in that part of our U.S. history, something that happened many, many years ago, decades ago?
Well, obviously, it was just not casual because his family was involved. Mm-hmm. And I'm certain this matter must have been discussed with his family because you can sense the personal nature of this performance and his production.
Yeah. Matthew, is that true? Is that something that you and your family discussed before you did the documentary?
Pardon?
Is the history of the Japanese American encampments, is that something that your family discussed with you before you decided to do this documentary?
Well, I had to do a lot of research before I started my documentary, and even through when I went to Manzanar, I learned a lot more about the Japanese internment because they had a memorial there, and I was able to see the footsteps of my uncle and how they lived their lives in the internment camps for a couple of years.
Well, through the process of doing this documentary, did your thoughts about the Constitution or due process change at all?
Well, I didn't really know about due process and the Fifth Amendment as much as I did after I did my movie, but by doing the research, I really learned a lot more about the topic, and I became more informed about what really happened during the World War II period.
Mm-hmm. And Senator Inouye, I mean, at this time in our history, where were you?
I was a senior in high school when December 7th occurred. And about a month later, I was shocked to learn that the government of the United States had decided to designate the number 4C to all Japanese, citizens and otherwise. 4C, simply put, means you're an enemy alien. And it meant that we were not fit to put on the uniform, for one thing, and that we were considered to be either disloyal or untrustworthy. And many of us resented that. And we petitioned the President of the United States. And about a year after December the 7th, we got the word that the doors were open. If you want to volunteer, go ahead. In Hawaii, 85% of the eligible men volunteered, which is a record that has never been touched since that time. But however, we had no idea as to what was happening on the mainland. We had no idea that Executive Order 9066 had been issued because I am from Hawaii. The news, all of it was censored, and so you'd receive daily papers with blank spots. And I learned about the camps after I got to Camp Shelby for my training.
Shelby, Mississippi.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so at that point, you are training in the U.S. military to go fight for this country, and you learn of the Japanese American encampments. What was going through your mind as a Japanese American
Well, the way it
preparing to
happened,
fight?
the way it happened was rather unusual. Mainlanders came in, and so we would ask them, where are you from? What does your father do? And, well, he has a shop or something like that. And friction came into being because they look different. They're much more refined. Their English was much better. And we got to a point where our senior officers felt that maybe the regiment should be disbanded because we couldn't get together. However, one of the gimmicks, I call it a gimmick because they had social hours and discussion groups, none of it worked. They sent invitations to us, 10 per company. By coincidence, all Hawaii people. And when I saw the camp at Camp Roa, I was shocked because it was obvious then, with machine gun towers and bayonet rifles, that this was a concentration camp.
How did the government justify it at that point?
Well, in a wartime, if you study the history of war, you will find that oftentimes hysteria takes over, especially with the sudden attack on Pearl Harbor and pictures of buck-toothed men, slant eyes and such. So they put us all in that one category. But I'm happy to say that when the war was over, the regiment I served with was the most decorated in the history of the United States, and also, for that size, the largest casualties. And there were 22 medals of honor, which is much more than most of the divisions. And just recently, the Congress of the United States, together with the President, issued the gold medal.
Right, right. Matthew Shimura, what do you make of how the government has reacted to that part of our history since then, and the actions that have been taken? You talk about it in your documentary. Do you think enough has been done to make up for that part of our history?
I think that even though the government made a mistake back then, they've done a lot to make things right, especially the Clinton administration in 1998, as well as the $20,000 given to each Japanese American family during the period. So I think that the government has tried to make things right.
Matthew Shimura, do you plan to keep studying this issue? What do you think?
Well, I want to continue studying this issue, especially in Hawaii, because there were some Japanese American internment camps here that weren't very widespread talked about. So I'd like to do a follow-up story on that.
Right. And this isn't the first time that you've been part of the StudentCam contest. For those who have never participated and who may want to next year, what's your advice for getting involved?
Well, my advice to students trying to make a documentary is choose a topic that you're really interested in and you feel passionate about, and then do research about that, write a script and storyline, and then really try and get your message across and what your perspective is on the topic.
And you are the grand prize winner. That comes with a good sum of money. How much did you win? What do you plan to do with it?
I won $5,000 for myself and then $1,000 for my school. And I hope to save it for college.
Where do you want to go to college?
Yeah, I want to go to college on the East Coast, maybe film school, so I can study to become a better documentary filmmaker.
All right. Well, Matthew Shimura, thank you very much for joining us from Hawaii. Senator Daniel Inouye, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank
we
you,
very
sir.
much appreciate it.
Thank you.